Should prayer be allowed in public school? Prayer is powerful, it is persuasive, and it is comforting. To those who believe in the power of prayer, it is a tool to lean on in times of trouble and can be used with any emotion one may feel. Children, teenagers, and teachers across the world have some sort of religion that they fall back on, and many religions want those who follow to pray to their God. However, students and teachers are not allowed to express this faith and pray in a school setting if it is school initiated. There are many reasons why people believe prayer should not be allowed, and although they have their reasons, many Americans do not like the idea of prayer to be allowed. But it should be allowed in order for the students to exercise their freedom of speech, increase their boldness of faith, and establish that religion is your constitutional right. It is believed that prayer is unconstitutional. And even though many people use this as the reason for prayer not being allowed in public school, their thought process is not totally backed up by facts. If they truly understood what the Constitution was explaining, they would understand that the statement they are making is incorrect. The First Amendment in the Constitution states, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." This means that the people's speech, religion, assembly, press, and the right to petition are protected. Everyone has this constitutional right to have the freedom of speech on whatever topic they please, even religion. This amendment states that Americans have the freedom to speak. Therefore, they should be allowed the freedom to pray and talk religiously even while in school. Activists against prayer in school also believe this fallacy, the separation of church and state. However, this statement is commonly misunderstood. Betsy DeVos, Education Secretary of the United States, said, "Too many misinterpret a separation of church and state as an invitation for the government to separate people from their faith. In reality, our Constitution doesn't exist to protect us from religion. It exists to protect religion from government." This statement means that the government was not intended to protect people from prayer, religion, and other religious activities. It was meant to protect our freedom of religion from the government. They cannot force us to neglect our faith, so they should not be able to force students and teachers to neglect theirs in the school setting. It is known that students can pray on their own terms at school. However, if it seems like a school-initiated activity, it is against the law. What happened to tradition history in schools? It used to be approved and allowed for students and teachers to express their faith. This is the same with the military and Congress. There's a sense of tradition with chaplains there. Why can there not be a sense of tradition in the schools as well? If they can have chaplains to preach to the military and the congressmen and pray with others around them, then schools should be able to express their religion as well. Freedom of expression can be another concern for protesters. Parents are concerned that their children may be intimidated by public prayer. While teens are still developing a guard against their insecurities, the opportunity of public prayer can develop boldness on both sides of the practice. The act of public worship may be a new concept for students, while some have practiced prayer for many years. The openness of diversity can allow students to better understand and establish their belief system, while they are still young and without the forced pressures behind the government or their parents. There are valedictorians, football captains, student government officials, and many more who are being bullied, yelled at, intimidated by their prayers in school. Those students who do not like to pray and do not have to do so if they don't want to, they can simply turn away, focus their attention on something else. If the students can speak out about games on television, video games, and all the other things going on in their lives, then a student should be allowed to speak religiously about their lives as well. If prayer or even the mention of God's name in a school setting is somehow unjust, then we need to make a drastic decision and stop having students recite the Pledge of Allegiance, because this is a symbol that pledges our allegiance to God every single day. With symbols like prayer under attack, it is helpful to see the increase in positivity through public worship. Prayer can give positive psychological benefits to those who participate and even those who overhear it. It gives a quiet moment and a time to reflect on oneself in good times and bad. It gives the feeling of being content and loved by someone. Even if someone is not religious, it can be seen as a time to meditate or work on quiet time and do something you want to do. However, overhearing someone praying with a group of people sparks something. The action those people have made to make people wonder, what is it in their lives that make them so different? Those who pray and listen to God's word can be an influence in their schools. When people think of prayer, they mostly think of Christianity or Catholicism. However, what if the United States allowed all different kinds of religions to be able to pray while at school or practice their religion? All different sorts of religions would be able to freely express their faith without the rejection of others. They could be able to tell everyone that their freedom of speech, their First Amendment right, is rightfully theirs. We can tell them that the separation of the church and the state is not going to affect their faith anymore. For those who do not have a religion, well, again, they can use that time to establish their own beliefs. Whether it's school-related, personal things, or using the quiet time as a meditation, but this doesn't have to be a specific time during the day to take out for prayer. Students and teachers should be allowed to talk and pray about their gods whenever they feel necessary, whether that is before a test, when you get bad news, or anything else. Students and teachers should not feel worried that they are praying publicly and will be reprimanded for it. Some may say that this argument is outdated and not necessary anymore, that we should just give up on trying to bring prayer into public schools, that most people do not want their children exposed to that kind of religion. However, there was a study done in May 2018 that showed that 65% of Americans felt that the government had gone too far in trying to keep religion out of schools. They believe that since the majority wants the government to stop interfering, then we should allow the student and the teachers who are religious to be able to express their faiths. A lot of America has known to support democracy, meaning rule of the people. Many people believe that the people should be the ones who make decisions on this matter. They are the ones who are fighting this battle every day of trying to follow the law, but also follow their hearts and their religion. The government should hear what the people have to say and want to do what is best for them. If that is to allow the people to pray in school, then that is what they should do. One last reason the government should allow prayer in school is because of the Establishment Clause. The Establishment Clause states that the government cannot promote an official religion and cannot say one religion is higher up than any other. This clause protects the freedom of religion, which is stated in the First Amendment. Because of this clause, the government cannot tell us what we can and cannot pray to. This helps the case in point because the government cannot tell us that we cannot pray. By telling us we do not have the right to pray, they are affecting our right to religion, telling us that atheism is our main religion. The definition of the Establishment Clause tells us that the government cannot do this. Therefore, the government cannot tell us that we cannot pray in schools. As can be seen, there are a lot of reasons why prayer should be allowed in public schools. I do not believe that those who have religion should force it upon anyone else, no matter what. Teachers should not stand up in the classroom and force students to pray with them. However, I do believe that if asked, a student should be able to pray and answer any questions involving their faith and available to those who want to talk with their teachers. I also believe that the students should be able to tell others about who they follow, especially because most religions tell you to go out and tell people. Religion should be over government. There are martyrs who died for their religion. Many people believe in religion in school. They believe in the freedom of speech and the freedom of religion in the First Amendment. Not being allowed to pray is a violation of our amendment that we as Americans have a right. If your God is telling you to stand up for what you believe in, then you have every right to do so. Prayer should be allowed in public school. It should be taken out for the sake of tradition, for the sake of being lawful, and for the sake of being religious. Thank you.